We believe that the heart of a man is a treasure trove of untold stories, powerful lessons, and profound wisdom. Through authentic dialogues and insightful discussions, we aim to unlock these treasures, one story at a time. So, whether you're seeking guidance, inspiration, or simply a moment of reflection, you're in the right place. Get ready to be challenged, inspired, and transformed. And now, to guide you through this journey of discovery, please welcome your host, a visionary leader and a true catalyst for change, Dwayne Dwyer, but we affectionately know him as the Mindset Coach.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes, welcome to another episode here on the Hearts of Men podcast. We are glad this evening that you all could join us this Friday afternoon. I know some of y'all had long weeks, worked hard. You could be anywhere else, but you have decided to spend this next hour and a half with us, and we appreciate you for it. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce one of the most dynamic, if not the most dynamicest group of men in all of YouTube. Ladies and gentlemen, right beside me, we have none other than the Hearts of Men lead host, Mr. Dwayne Dwyer, the Mindset Coach. Right up under him, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Poor Man's Dr. Phil, Mr. Shift Happens. And right beside him, none other than son of Timothy, the Available Man. Gentlemen, it's Friday afternoon. It is 8:03 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. How are you this evening?
I'm well. Long day at work, but I'm here with my brothers. I'm good.
Man, I'm doing all right. A lot of ripping and running, as Grandma used to say, but I'm here.
And
all is well. Excited to be here another Friday, another conversation with my brothers, and another conversation with the most amazing chat and all of social media. So yeah, I'm good. All is well.
I like it. And if you're just joining in, go ahead and slide over your thumb over there and click that like button. Share this podcast, share this YouTube video with someone, and see if they can get something out of it just like you. Chat, welcome again this evening. We had a good podcast this past Tuesday, I think. But anyway, first I'm gonna welcome everybody to the show. I'm kind of nervous this evening. I don't know why. I think I got butterflies a little bit because I'm really excited about tonight's topic. But that's okay. I know in a couple minutes I'm going to get into the groove of things, and by the end of it, it's going to be a great show. So I just feel like in my bones that this is a really good show. So welcome to the show, Lisa Dove Washington, Miss Crystal Everett, Lisa Keys. Welcome again. His Divine Appointment. Appreciate you for being here this afternoon, Miss Charlotte Jordan. Welcome, Mom. Welcome to the show. I'm hosting tonight, so your boy is growing up a little bit. All right. What else? We got Miss Nick D's here with us this afternoon. Who else? Did I miss anybody? Empowering Perspective podcast here tonight. Abe, I'm thinking Abe going to be here tonight, so I'm already going to welcome him ahead of the show. So with that being said, gentlemen, again, before we get started, last time, how we doing? Give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, sideways, what we got? All right, I like it. Chat, please feel free to engage with us tonight. I think this is going to be a really good topic. Just from the looking of the title, you can probably tell that it might get a little fun and exciting tonight. So with that being said, first of all, we're going to have a couple of quick fire questions. Now, these questions are for the chat and for the panel. So the first thing we're going to do, you can give one word or phrase. This is not any long drawn out sentence. One word or one phrase. Name a movie or TV character that embodies controlling behavior. Now, feel free to think about that one movie that you know about, that one TV show, that one character, or something like that. So gentlemen, one word or one phrase. Can you name a movie character, a movie or TV character that embodies controlling behavior?
So you wrote the song and you don't know the words to the song?
I don't know that one, man. You gotta give it up. What that mean?
You don't know that.
Okay, what's love? Ike Turner. Okay. I don't remember. I mean, I remember the show, but I didn't watch it that many times to get to do it. Like now, Friday, I know that one. So Ike Turner. What's in the chat?
Controlling
The chat going
behavior.
in. Training Day, Coach Prime. Coach Prime. like the Coach Prime. We y'all got rolling the coach.
Peg Bundy.
Peg Bundy. Ooh,
she used to use her feminine prowess as her negotiations.
With Al?
Yeah.
Okay, coach.
I'm gonna go with Harvey Specter because I know half of y'all ain't started watching Suits yet.
I'm already on the second iteration.
I was gonna go with Mr. off Color Purple. All right, so those one we got some good ones. Who we got? Somebody
Harvey,
said
though?
The news. Who we got? Charles Xavier, Denzel all day in that movie Training Day, Mr. from the Color Purple, all Tyler Perry movies. Mom said, "Unc, let them butterflies go." I received that all day long. All right, here we go. Here's the next one. Chat. Here's another one. One word or phrase. Is jealousy always a bad thing, or does it have a place in relationships? Is jealousy always a bad thing, or does it have a place in relationship? Remember, one word or one phrase.
Yes.
That's my word.
That's your word, yeah.
That's my word.
That's all we got. Yeses all around.
I'm trying to see how to because when you read scripture, it says that he's a jealous God. So I'm looking at it. I think jealousy in itself says that I believe that what I have, somebody else can take from me. So in that essence, yes.
Okay. Well, we don't have a right or wrong. We don't have a right or wrong answer at all. So real quick, I just wanted to I wish I had the link, but I lost the link. And I was going to actually drop it in the chat. But just a quick note to according, we're talking about the power struggle and how to break free from possessiveness and control. And I wish I had the link. I lost it because I had to restart my computer and then I deleted something. I didn't save it, so I apologize. But if I find it, I'll go back and I'll repost it. But nearly half of all women and men in the U.S. have experienced psychological aggression by an intimate partner. So with that being said, gentlemen, first question of the night: possessiveness. Well, actually, before we get to the questions, I want to beat up a little bit, not beat up, but get into the definitions a little bit of what we're going to be talking about. So real quick, I'm going to skim through these three definitions, and then we're going to hit the first topic. The first question of the night. So the first one is possessiveness is a strong desire to control or have exclusive influence over someone, often linked to insecurity, fear of loss, or a need for validation. Control, an attempt to dictate another person's actions, choices, or relationships, often stemming from insecurity, power imbalances, or unhealthy attachment. And lastly, boundaries versus control. Boundaries are healthy limits set for personal well-being, while control seeks to restrict or dominate another person. Gentlemen, in your own words, how would you define possessiveness and control in relationships. How would you define possessiveness and control in relationships?
I think possessiveness and control in relationships. I think that it would be the failure to identify the ineptitude in oneself. So now I have a desire, a want to use whatever means that I have to make a person or persons do my will that I want them to do because it's not best for them, but what's best for me or what feels right to me.
Yeah, you came out at first. I thought you was reading the actual definition because you used some big words in the beginning. But I I'm always when we talk about control and possessiveness, going towards an insecurity. Um, as a man, sometimes I think it's the insecurity that I may not be the leader that I think I am, so I have to control versus lead my home, right? Um, or things that stems from past relationships or our upbringing and its behavior that that is used in an attempt to mold everything or mold another person into your will versus learning how to coexist in the same space with that person.
I love everything that everybody's saying. I was first start off by saying it is a sign of immaturity. It is a sign of a lack of understanding what relationship is all about. Um, so possessiveness is a thing of ownership, and the control that goes along with it. It clearly lines up with the idea of that ownership. Therefore, because this ownership exists, that means you must do what I believe you should do, the way that I want you to do it, and when I need you to do it. So when we look at possessiveness, which in turn is literally the state of being. When it comes down to being possessive, that control becomes the action aspect of that. So yes, I'm definitely lining up with what everybody else is saying. I just wanted to add that on top of it.
Yeah, I'm just I almost have a follow-on question. Um so how do we kind of separate control from being in control, right? So I think there's a difference between trying to control somebody and tell someone what to do, say this is what you're going to do, yada yada yada, versus saying, "Hey, we have to have a certain level of control over our lives in order to progress forward." So, um, anybody, what's kind of the difference between being in control and versus trying to control someone?
My
Um,
work, your work.
Yes, sir. Say it. Well, my
My,
work, your
my
work.
work, your work. Control is what I'm doing to you. Being in control is what I do for me.
that's exactly where I was going with it. Being in control, only thing that I can be in control of is my actions and how I handle life and life situations. Being controlling is trying to force my will upon you or someone else.
Now, um, I mean, people out here kind of seen hustle and flow, right? So doing hustle and flow, there was a pimp and he had some ladies who worked for him, right? So when you look at that lifestyle, and some of us are old enough to kind of just understand that lifestyles about pimps and in the street life and different things like that. And then we will see people in these situations and they feel like that their pimp really loves them. You know what I'm saying? They have them out there doing whatever there is to their bodies and putting themselves in dangerous situations and different things like that. And I think even at a lesser sense, you can sometimes see these things in relationships. I can even see it as I walk through the halls in the high schools. I see this. So why do you think that some people mistake control for love?
Bad examples. They saw bad examples mimicked before them, whether it be on television, whether it be in the house or wherever. But so whatever they saw as being, oh, he must love her because of this, or she, or vice versa. That's the example that they have in their head of what love is.
Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna press against the grain a little bit, but I was gonna go last, but then I thought about Coach going before me. That didn't work out well. No, I'm joking. No, so I believe sometimes, and I'm talking about sometimes because there's always an exception to rules, right? I believe that sometimes it's a bad understanding of what protector is, right? And I'm only speaking from the aspect of a man because that's the only thing I've ever been, and will ever be. You gotta say that in 2025. I believe that we look at protection sometimes, and it's like, well, how can I protect you if I can't control you? Versus if there's some decisions that you're going to want to make as a protector. You're going to want to say, I don't think you should wear that to this place, especially if I'm not there, because whatever may happen. I get that, but some take that to a next level, and it's like, well, maybe I can't be the protector I need to be unless I have full control over your whereabouts, who you're talking to, where you at, how you breathe, what's in your closet, And I'm not saying that it becomes a good thing. It doesn't, but I'm looking at it from that perspective that maybe that's the only way some people know or can conceptualize being a protector of a woman as a man.
I agree with the upbringing. I agree with the misinterpretation of my role. I go with that. But I also believe that it has a lot to do with the fairy tale that's being played in our head about what relationship is supposed to be. And unfortunately, a lot of us don't necessarily, I say it like this. Unfortunately, the other person doesn't line up with your perspective or the fairy tale that you have in your head. Therefore, when they don't play the role that you assign them, you feel like you need to direct them. So that's where I'm gonna go with it. And again, it's no different than what everyone else is saying, but I definitely do believe that it has to do with the fairy tale that most people have playing in their head.
Yeah, I think. Go ahead.
I like that Coach brought that out, because that can be twofold. Because it, like me, I consider myself a gentleman when it comes to certain things, and it's how I see myself. So if I'm with women, I want to open the door, I want to pull out the chair, I want to do this. It's what I want. And so when they don't desire that, it's almost a slap in my face to me. Like, I'm just trying to be a man. It's actually me trying to control the situation because of my narrative of how a gentleman is supposed to act.
I'm gonna look at it from a lens of like what I see in the high schools, and kind of what I remember, from high school graduating, 32 years ago. So it's a little while ago, but I see, I remember like young men trying to control girls and stuff like this. And then, it gets pushed over into their adult years as well, as unless they start to change or learn how to change or adjust their behavior. But I think some of it is, they don't know, they didn't like, they don't know anything. There was nobody to teach them. They didn't see this, they didn't see that. So there was um no visualization of what love is. So they're going through life trying to figure out things, And in the midst of trying to figure out what love is, they may slide down that path and then run into control. And then as they go through control for a little bit, maybe they may learn it, or it may look different as they grow, because I will 100% be transparent. And this was definitely part of me. I definitely used to mistake control for love. I ain't gonna get too much into it right now, but I will say that in my past, and something that I have grown out of, this has been something that was part of my life at some point too. And I think that I'm thankful for the fact, and I'm thankful that I was able to get to a point to where I knew I needed to change, and eventually change. But yeah, I think everybody said some really good points on why do some people mistake control for love. And I think I saw a bunch of good ones over here in the chat too. So appreciate all the engagement over in the chat as well. And if you haven't, go ahead and hit that like button and share this content with somebody else. Gentlemen, moving along, let's slide down to this one, because we're going to start gigging a little bit deeper as we continue on this conversation. So I know we started talking about, or at least doing the definition, this word insecurity came up a couple of times in a couple of those different definitions. But what role does insecurity play in possessiveness? And if you think it does play a role.
I think I said it before. For me, it's sometimes it's on the side of, I think somebody gonna cheat on me, or I've been cheated on before, so I need to know where you at, where you going, who you with, what time where y'all going, what time y'all getting there, who y'all gonna meet up with, and all that other good stuff. But I think sometimes it's the insecurity. Once again, only speaking as a man, it's the insecurity of maybe I'm not the leader I think I am, or that I'm supposed to be, or that I want to be. And so that I don't come short of looking like a leader, I just need to make sure that I'm always controlling what's going on. I need to control the narrative at all times, because that makes me look strong or feel strong, or I believe it makes me look strong. When in all actuality, people really see that as a sign of weakness. When we see someone that is possessive or controlling. So when I think of possessiveness, that's what I think of: someone who just not sure about themselves in their relationship, or in their role in that relationship. And so that's how they show that leadership.
I'm not going to overcook these grits. It plays all the roles. It's the producer, the writer, it's the leading actor, it's the supporting role. It does behind the scene work. It does the light. It's all about insecurities.
You muted, brother.
Your insecurities speak more. It's like what Coach said, it's the whole ingredient to everything, because it speaks to where you are mentally and everything in said relationship with self first, not with other people. It reflects how you respond with other people, but it speaks whether or not you have abandonment issues, whether or not your insecurities show up because now when I see you befriend someone else, I feel like I should be the only friend. You're giving away my friendship to someone else, or it's all about the loss. I'm feeling the loss every time. So I got to try to control it to make sure that I get. It's all about me, because I feel small in my own eyes. So I want you to help me feel as big as possible.
Say less, gentlemen. Hey, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to take a break real quick. We're going to play a little game called Fact or Fiction. So it's like true or false, but it's fact or fiction. Y'all ready? Now, any and everybody can answer, and please chat. Please jump in and let us know, is this fact or fiction? If anytime, gentlemen, you guys want to elaborate on the fact or fiction, feel free to do so. So, gentlemen in chat, none of these people have seen these questions, so this is the first time they're going to be seeing them too. So, let's start with the first one. Fact or myth? Fact or myth, not fact or fiction. Fact or myth. Y'all ready? Jealousy is a sign of true love. Fact or myth? So I'll do it and say myth, myth. We got myth, myth, myth. Sound like Mike Tyson, myth,
Myth.
myth. You know, I got this list and them YTHs don't sound good when they come out my mouth all the time.
Hey, we ain't laughing at you, man. We're laughing with you, bro.
I know, I'm laughing with me. Shoot, I'm okay with it. Shoot. All y'all guys with myth too? With the M word too? All right, everybody say myth. All right, let's go on to the next one. All right, controlling behavior always starts aggressively. Controlling behavior always starts aggressively.
Myth.
Myth. Myth.
I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it
Got
like
a
that.
lot of myth. Everybody's up on it. Everybody's up on it. Okay, everybody's up on it tonight. Oh, I got a good one for y'all. Since y'all know everything, chat. Both men and women can be victims of possessiveness. Both men and women can be victims of possessiveness.
I'm trying to see how Michael say fact.
I know, right? Fact.
Unmyth. He said unmyth.
Unmyth. Unmyth. Unmyth. Fact. I'm trying to stump them. They ain't stumped tonight. What y'all say?
Fact.
You on facts?
Definitely a fact.
You on facts. All right. Checking your partner's phone without permission is harmless. Fact or myth? Checking your partner's phone without permission is harmless. Myth.
Myth.
Myth. Nobody want to elaborate?
Ain't nobody calling her phone for me. Ain't nobody texting her phone for me. So if I gotta check that to see what she's doing, it's an insecurity within me and about how we are in our relationship. Same, vice versa. I know, and you know, people will say, when I say people, you know who people I'm talking about. They'll say, well, if he ain't got nothing to hide, I don't care if I do got something to hide. It ain't your phone. Matter of fact, in Texas, that's against the law. You can't even bring that to court no more.
Yep.
Oh, for real?
Yeah.
Hey.
So the evidence you find after you check the phone without permission is not relevant in court?
Nope.
He could press charges. You go through his phone.
Dang.
I would even say you could have made the question interesting and say the need or desire to check their phone.
Yeah. Because even if even if we take the opposite side of what Rose said, if it's like you gave me a reason to want to go through your phone, at that point, I think we're done. If I got to go through your phone, I think we're done.
You mean this one, Coach? The need to check your partner's phone without permission is harmless. Fact or myth?
Still the same answer. I'm just saying.
Still the same answer?
Still the same answer.
Okay. Maybe so. And then see if anybody wanted to change their mind. All right, here's the last one. Last fact or myth. Setting boundaries is a form of control.
It's a form of being in control.
Setting boundaries is a form of control. Oh, we got some mixed emotions, I think. We got a fact. We got a myth. Unless Gabe was talking about another one. I don't know. But there we have it, gentlemen. Facts.
See, y'all fell for the okie doke. I'm trying to tell you. Y'all didn't read the question and you listen to what Unc said.
See,
when you listen to what he said, that is definitely a myth. But when you read the question, that is a fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I put a word in front of there. Because control, you want control. I gotta control me. My boundaries are for me.
But we talked about there's a difference between in control and controlling. So
That's why I say it's control.
And being in control. Mm-hmm.
A form of control.
of control. So I don't think that's being in control. I think that's when you said form of control, I'm looking at it as controlling.
That's a form of control.
But so is being in control a form of control. They're both a form of control. They're
Right.
just different forms of control.
Yeah.
So I guess X wins it. I guess I don't know.
You were the person that took the test, and the test said make sure that you read all the way through before you start taking the test, and then you start at 1 and get the number 10 and say you did not have to answer any of these questions. Right, you fell for it.
I skim and I go back through.
Everybody rethinking their answer right now. Don't worry about it. I got something for y'all at the end. I got an exercise for y'all at the end of the show. Let's go back to this one. Where we at right now? So this one, I'm okay if we dig a little bit deeper on this one, right? Because I think, especially if, someone's watching and they've been in this situation and stuff like that, So have you ever seen someone mistake control for love? And then if so, how did it play out? It can even be a movie. I'm okay with the movie.
State control. I don't know about no movie. I know real life. I know when I in my younger days, when you teens and early 20s, personal experience, somebody going out. Oh, you ain't wearing that. Like, I'm trying to tell somebody what they are, another grown person, what they are or are not going to wear. Simply because we are in a relationship. That's controlling. I can say, well, so dudes won't do this, and I can say it's for protection, this, that, and the other. But the way I went about it was straight up because I'm the man. Do what I say, and bottom line it.
Yeah, I think everybody has experienced this in some shape, form, or fashion. You can agree or disagree. That's fine, but the fact is the fact. Unless you were raised in an environment that taught you the ins and outs of relationship, and we both and all of us understand what that looks like, right? Then that means in some aspect you attempted to control somebody in some aspect of their life, and so I think, and I don't want to look at the negative side of this because that is always available. One thing you got to do is turn on social media. I want to look at the other side of it. Have you seen someone mistake control for love? Yes. Me, you, and everybody in the chat. I think we've all seen it. We see it on TV. We can clearly identify it. But here's the thing. On TV, it works out. TV, it just seems like it either works out really good or it works out really bad. One or the other. There is no in between. But I will offer that you actually get a chance to learn a lot about yourself. Because at the end of the day, sure, I've seen somebody, I'm like, man, why are you wearing that? Like, you shouldn't be wearing that, stuff of that nature. Or where you going, or who you been, or you know how the song go, where you going, who you with, you know how the song goes, right? We've all done that because we had no idea. And the more we knew, the more we felt that we could be in control. So in our mind, it was like information equates to understanding, and me understanding the ins and outs of what you're doing in fine detail means that I don't have to worry about control because you're giving it to me, right? And that becomes a standard that we set for quote unquote relationship. However, I will also say you get the chance to learn a lot about yourself in those situations as well. Because when the person rejects that or say that, stuff like you're not the boss of me or whatever the terminology is for the day, then I think you get to understand in the midst of now conflict, I think you get to understand, number one, the depth and breadth of this relationship. That's for starters. Number two, if you take the opportunity to self-reflect, you get to understand some things about yourself. Did I create this environment? What did I do to create this? If we reflect that to that level, But the other side to it is that, you get to, fisticuffs, you get to fighting. We've seen that as well. So I think all of those things are available when we mistake love for control. Because let's be completely honest, even adults our age right now still don't understand love, and they're trying to use control to supplement their lack of understanding. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, everyone has experience with it. I see it on TV. Tyler Perry has made millions of dollars off of it and is still doing it to this day. New movie I called Duplicity. What is it? Duplicity, and it's all about control. So I think when we look at this, control is shown on TV. It's actually monetized. It's popular, and then a lot of men, and I'm just going to talk men from this perspective. A lot of men try to implement that into their lifestyle of relationship.
Man.
Got something down there, Gaddy?
Yeah, man. Coach said a lot, man. I was just sitting there like it was still circling through my head. But
Well, how about I say something and then you respond to that? All right. So
Yes,
here's
sir.
what I got. So because here's what I was thinking, right? So for a long time, I've always heard this term of ride or die chick, right? So the ride or die chick, is the guy using that? Like, is he controlling? I mean, like, is that an example of someone mistaking control for love? I'm gonna do anything he asks me to do. I'm gonna do it. Hey, baby, hey, I need you to go over here and rob this store. I need you to go over here and take this over here. I need you to drive the getaway car. You know what I mean? So, like, is the ride or die chick, that relationship with her man, is that where someone mistaken control for love? Cause I know you from New York, son.
I think
I seen power.
the more I'm thinking about it, I think dating in itself is just full of different layers and level of control. Like, because everything Coach said, but I'm going back to what Rose said last time we talked about this mistaken possessiveness for love and control. But it's true, because when I pull your chair out, when I open the door, when I drive, when I carry your bags, when I do these things, I'm trying to control your emotional reaction to me. I want you to see me as a gentleman. I want you to to feel mushy inside when you come around me, because I'm going to make you feel a certain way. I'm going to even putting her on that pedestal. You're still trying to control how she reacts to you. We call it game, right? But in reality, all of it is really, we're all trying to control each other's behavior and reactions, because we all, and a lot of it does stem to what Coach said before. A lot of it stems from the different fantasies. Both of us, I think, your fantasy, my fantasy of what a relationship look like, battling against each other, trying to see who has the strongest will, right? And so it's like, where does that control stops? And I know that sounds like a question, but that's what's playing out in my head as I'm listening to everybody talk. Like, every layer and every level, I see control on both sides.
But I think it's easy to go to the extremes, but there's some instances, say Gaddy kids about to do something and then they did it, and then I find out later and I'm like, I feel a certain way. I'm like, dude, why you ain't call me? I would have came out to support. What it is I'm feeling a certain type of way, and now I want to let him know by pushing off the support part, as if I can't support now, but I'm pushing that off because I'm feeling a certain type of way. So now it's almost a guilt thing. Like, dude, you need to call me. Like, they don't need to call you, but this time he didn't. So I think we look at the major instances where somebody's strong arming somebody, or browbeating them, or making them do it, forcing almost, rather than the subtle things. And that's where the movie that you referenced before, Hustle and Flow, it was subtle the way he started this. And then he may have the strong arm to put her in line or whatever.
But nobody ain't answer my question. Like for real. Like because I like to sometimes be able to see it. If I'm way off, I'm wrong. I'm okay with being off. But I'm wondering if the ride or die with the guy, if that situation is control,
I don't
or
think
is it
On both
really
sides.
love? You know what
I
I'm saying?
think it equates to the understanding of what ride or die may be to
Okay.
people, right? Um, can it be something to where it's like I'm doing something, and I use this as an example. I'm doing something illegal, right? And I'm inviting you into my circle, but I am telling you for you to come into my circle, this is what I'm expecting for you. So now it's something that may compromise your integrity, something that may compromise your moral, your ethics, and all of those things. So in that scenario, that could be seen as control. But I think, and you guys tell me if I'm wrong here. I think when most people say that, I don't think they're talking about something like that. I think they're talking about somebody, like I used to use a phrase all the time. Like, look, we just want to know you're gonna get in the bus. I'm fixing to drive this bus. We just want to know you're gonna get in. You know what I'm saying? Or you're gonna stand out on the sidewalk and argue and fuss about the destination, where I'm going, why am I taking this route? Are you getting in the bus or not? That to me, like if when I hear that phrase, that's what I believe ride or die is. You're gonna get in the bus. We can talk while you're in the bus, but don't stand outside the bus and tell me and say, hey, you're going this way, you're going that way. Why you want to go all the way down there? Why we got to stop by Uncle Junior house? And when we go to Roland house, that's way out the way. When Roland lived halfway across the United States, it's gonna be a 20+ hour drive anyway, but it's gonna take us 8 hours. You know what I'm saying? I ain't got time for that. Get in the bus or not. So that's what I think when I hear the term ride or die. That's what I'm thinking. Whether or not the person that they're with, they're going to get in the bus and they're going to ride, regardless of how they feel about where the ride is going. But again, when we talk about compromising integrity, morals, and ethics, that's a whole nother ball of wax for me.
And I can see how there can, based off your perception or based off your definition of ride or die, how it could be either one. You know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely get what you're saying. Charlotte Ann, you didn't beat us to the punch, but that's okay. We appreciate your comment. But here you go. We got you. Here we go. Can men, and this is Gaddy too. Gaddy always been chomping at the bit for it. He said, can't wait till we get to number 7. So Gaddy, here we go. Can men also experience control in relationships? And if so, why is it rarely talked about? Or if you don't want to answer the ending part, you don't have to. You can take this question and break it down or go at it any way you want to, because I know this is the one you've been wanting. So here we go, Gaddy.
So yes, because we talked about this in the facts or myth, and it came out facts every time, right? Because it looks different, right? Sometimes, because I do know some women that try to aggressively control men, right? Or they date a certain type of man because they feel they can control them, right? Which is sometimes the danger as a man of coming in as that complete nice guy, like Roland was talking about, right? I got the doors, I'll do this. Or some guys is I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this. And some women look at that as weakness, or what they call it now, simping, and they think they can control. But I think what's most common, what I've seen most commonly, is emotional control. And I've seen a lot of women who use their emotions or use their tears to force the man's reaction, to get him to move like this. Well, I thought if you was a real man, you would have. If you was a real man, you would have done this instead of getting. And so men don't talk about that, because I think it comes after you've dealt with that for a while. And I'm not speaking from personal experience, but it's like I went through it recently. But you get conditioned to believe that if that woman is controlling you, then you wasn't being a real man. You wasn't leading because she would have learned how to submit to you if you was a real man. She would have learned how to submit to you if you was a real leader. And so a lot of times men we just leave that out and we just move on to the next.
I think that can men experience, and that's being controlled by women, sex, kids, money, leaving, food, and also to what Tawami was talking about. You see on the news or on social media where Karen, I just say Karen, everybody know what we talking about. Karen gonna start crying once the police get there. Once she wants to feel like she's the victim, she starts doing stuff like that. She starts crying, "Oh, I'm the victim. You sat up here and slapped this dude." But now it's all about you and your feelings and how you feel, because it pulls on the heartstrings of some, and they don't think logically anymore. They thinking about helping her with her emotions.
Man, y'all got the emotional one. I'm with you there. I'm gonna go back to the societal ideology of relationships is definitely the beginning, and it's not the number one, the start point, but it's definitely the beginning of men being controlled in relationship. Go back and pay close attention to a lot of the marketing that you see. You look at Valentine's Day, you look at Mother's Day, you look at all these others. Say, yeah, I got it. We got Father's Day. Y'all don't come for me, right? Then we look at Christmas and all that other great stuff. It's like, and I go and talk about Mother's Day and Father's Day since I brought it up. Mother's Day, you get all types of jewelry that's being displayed. You get all types of these ginormous, elaborate gifts that you get mom. And what did dad get on Father's Day? He get to go cook on his grill because he gonna be a part of the food that he get to eat. All of this, I mean, it is rooted deep in your psyche. I like the fact, I can't remember who said it. Somebody made mention a few seconds ago that you will hear that a real man a real man would. It's funny, a man ain't never really said that. I've never heard a man say that statement. Like, how would you even know? So when you talk about this whole, can men experience being controlled in relationships? Yes, all the time. More times than you even realize. From the beginning to the end. And for he who does not know, he becomes susceptible of it and think it's a way of life. There's an old saying, if you do not learn to make the subconscious conscious, it will control you, and you will believe it's fate. That's exactly what most men go through, because they never get to the point of understanding how to make that subconscious conscious and recognize something that they may not have known earlier. So yes, it is laden with control by men. And now we can get to the aspects of the emotions, because what does society say? Oh, express yourself, be in tune with your emotions. Everything is emotions. And when everything is driven by emotions, there is no stability, because that man has to now deal with whether you're on an emotional high or an emotional low. And he has no idea what can trigger that. It could be a bad day at work. It could be somebody that went outside and some little dog that came in the yard and peed on your favorite flower. And then you get into a little tissy fit, and now he has to respond to that if he does not know. So when we start looking at this, it is a largely unspoken thing, because at the end of the day, and I can appreciate what everybody else is saying, but I'm gonna say it like it's for real, because most men feel that nobody cares. That's the real reason.
And
Is it a lie though?
huh?
I was saying, is it a lie? I mean, I got my brothers. I'm not ever going to discount whether or not, if I call one of my brothers and I needed to talk, y'all got me. But real talk, like, who really cares about men talking about their feelings or talking about what they went through? And I hate to say it like that, but just from the experience of my small age of 39, 9 times out of 10, it's and the response has its validation, but the response always ends with, "Hey, suck it up and drive on."
See, but I don't think that it's not said, nothing is said. I think men will talk to men about whatever, get it out, and then that man, he ain't gonna sit up there and allow him, oh, let me pat your back and all that other stuff. He ain't gonna go on social media and start doing masculinity and start doing all this stuff. Come on. And he not gonna do that. But because once I call Gaddy and say, dog, this happened, he ain't gonna sit up there and he gonna say, okay. Now he probably give me something to go forward, not to stay where I am. As long as he giving me something to go forward, I'm good. I don't need to talk about it again. It's done.
I guess because I agree with you 100%. That's how we handle stuff, right? Once it's out, it's a wrap. But here's what the difference is. Why it looks like that is because when a woman and no shade at my women, we love y'all, right? But when a woman says this hurts me, this is bothering me, we have legislations, we have commercials, we have movies, we have everything that comes behind that says, men, you need to start acting like this because it makes the woman feel better, right? There's a lot of things that men express 9 times out of 10, and if we're not expressing it to another brother, the response I typically hear is, that's not true. What? I just told you it was true. But you just told me my experience. But and it's not looking for a worldwide movement, right? But when you see a worldwide movement, when one party dislikes something and when the other party dislikes something, it's like, well, we'll all get over it tomorrow. Then it really leads you to believe don't nobody really care.
So here's where I'm going to push back. I think people do care. I think women care. However, I think what happens is somewhere along the line, there's a mistrust that develops. So I think that women do care. And I think that at some point, men want to share things. But I think what happens is sometimes somewhere along the way, there's mistrust to whereas men are no longer feeling comfortable or want to share things anymore. But I do think that women really do care. And I think the other part of that is sometimes we may feel or think that if we go to you with the problem, that the problem is going to come back and bite us in the butt later, or that the problem is going to end up being about you. I go to you and I tell you my day is bad, and then you're like, oh no, baby, it feels so bad, and now you over there crying, and now I'm trying to comfort you when I first came to you and tried to download on you. So I think, and I'm not saying that this is always the case, but I am just saying that I do think that there is I do think that, we say a lot of time that no one cares, and I am definitely guilty of that. And probably until today, I've said something different. But I think at the end of the day, at least for right now, and I may have an adjusted stance and think that women do care. But I think just that somewhere along the line that maybe the trust has been broken to whereas now we don't feel comfortable sharing that conversation. But I'm definitely open to having my mind changed again.
Yeah, sounds good, really good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, extremely good, and it briefs well in a crowded room where everybody is listening. But I bet you, if I ask every person on this panel, have you ever experienced? Because let's forget this. Let's just take the Band-Aid off real quick.
Let's take it off.
In the beginning, when you in said relationship, you want to share everything with that person, right? And then it gets to a point, and you got to get past the honeymoon stage, of course, because in the honeymoon stage, nothing goes wrong. Everybody understand that part. But then you get beyond the honeymoon stage, and then you start experiencing some things that you may not have seen in the beginning. And so you start sharing it with that person, right? You share it with that person because It upset you. It may have crossed a boundary that you failed to establish in the beginning. All of those things could be possible. But then when you start sharing these things, and then the response, as though the response comes back to you as though it's not that big of a deal. You know, you're turning the mountain into a molehill, or you know, why are you saying every time I turn around this and so forth and so on. So I see where you were going with the trust thing, but it's not a trust thing. It's an understanding thing, right?
Mm.
And at the end of the day, simple communication must evolve into effectiveness simply by responding and answering according to what that person is saying. But a lot of times, what you experience is you'll say something here, and the goalpost is moved over here. And so when the goalpost get moved over here, it's like, no, 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 I'm talking about this right here. Yeah, but, or you bring something else up. You bring something up, and then something is reminded to you about days ago, things of that nature. So that's what I'm talking about. And I can't speak for nobody else. I don't want to speak for anybody else. That's what I'm talking about. Because at the end of the day, when I share these things with you about what's going on, how I feel, you can't tell me that you care when at the end of the day, you have shown me that you don't. And I think that's part of the issue. Your articulation of you care, but your behavior saying that you don't. And there is a disconnect between the two. And when there is a disconnect, then he gets quiet. So when you ask him what's wrong, he says nothing. And you can clearly see he's deep in thought. He's sitting there. He's, you know, whatever. Then Tyrone called. Yeah, he called Tyrone. He on the phone with Tyrone, and he is telling all the business simply because Tyrone is now a listening ear. It's not that he didn't try to talk to you about it, but, you know, we'll say certain things. Well, you know, men just need to talk to their woman. You know, they just need to talk to the women first. You don't think they tried that? At some point you got to recognize that's the first place that he goes, because in the midst of that honeymoon phase, he thought that this was going to be a kind of like a reciprocal relationship. I listen to how you feel, then when I come to you and share how I feel, then you listen to how I feel. I'm not even asking you to do anything about it unless it's about you. Just listen. But then when your response is, well, yeah, you know, last week, you know, we ain't trying to hear that. Because when something's going on with you, you want me to drop everything and listen to what you're saying. Not just listen to what you're saying, but listen to it from the lens in which you're saying it so that we can relate to it. Shouldn't that be something that's done in reverse as well? Oh, well, I don't know what it's like to be a man. Then be quiet and listen. We're trying to tell you, but you won't listen. You keep trying to invert it, right? I'm giving you DC power, but you keep giving me AC in return. It doesn't work. So then we get quiet. And the worst thing of all, when I tell you something and then later on it's brought back up to me and used as a weapon. Oh, all bets are off at that point. You ain't gonna ever get nothing deep from me again. So we might as well just, because that's the environment that is created. So when we talk about the experience, that's what we're talking about. We're not talking happy land yet, right? We got to understand the experience before we get to happy land. Once we understand the experience, and everybody does some self-reflection and work on the immature part of them, then we can talk happy land. But at the end of the day, when we're saying that, no, I don't know. When we share, nobody cares. We're telling you the truth. I got it. You can come back and say, oh, we care. No man on this panel is buying that unless it's his wife, or his wife, or his wife.
And I have to put this disclaimer out there because I know we got some of the smartest women in the world in this community. But just in case there's someone that's listening that ain't a part of the community yet, just a little disclaimer. This is when the beginnings of the man mentally and emotionally starts to check out. You know, when you say, I don't feel like he's there no more. I don't feel like he cares. You know, we hear a lot of these things. Oh, he just didn't do this no more. He didn't do this. His mind left and his emotions left first. And this is when the relationship gets dangerous. Not even just bad. It gets dangerous because I don't, and it kind of into where what Unc is saying, because I think what Coach just said is like a different side of what Unc, at least in my mind, what Unc said, because now it leads to me, I don't trust you with my vulnerability or with my emotions or with my sharing, right? I don't. And so when there's things going on, and there may be issues going on lingering in my life I just didn't tell you about because I'm not there no more mentally and emotionally. So I guess the question really at that point is, can we get back? Or how do we get that back? Like, what does that look like? And I don't think enough relationships explore that. We explore what you need to do, what I need to do to make each other feel like it's normal again, versus, hey, we need to repair this line of communication right here.
And
Because
that's
once
I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro.
No, you good, you good.
Oh, I was going to add, and that's the part of controlling where I want to control how you communicate, how you talk to me. Well, you talk to me like you talk. I'm talking to you like I want to express this, and you trying to control how I push it out. And so now I'm already in the space where I'm being vulnerable, how I know how, and you shut it down. So it tells me, or it teaches me, that I can't communicate with you like this. So now I won't do it. So now when I'm over here talking, you mad. Well, why you don't ever talk? Because you don't hear me. You say you want it, but you really don't. You want it how you want to give it, how you would receive it, but not how I want to give it freely. Not just me. Because if a man has to make it pretty in order to give to you, it's too much work. I just want to give it. I'm trying to get it off my chest or whatever. And you want me to make it palatable for you to make it pretty so that you can say, okay, now you want to fix it. Now you want to try, instead of just letting me get it out, hearing what I'm saying, and not trying to control how I say it.
Yeah, you're not a child. Oop, did I say it out loud? Spoon feed you stuff. Anyway, Charlotte Jordan, thank you for your comment. There are women who are just as controlling as men, but we tend to focus more on it like it's a male behavior. Appreciate you. Miss Lisa Dove Washington has a question for us, gentlemen. Isn't it control if you always feel that tears are manipulative too? Isn't it control if you always feel that tears are manipulative too?
That's a loaded question.
Because they always stretches it.
Well, yeah, sure, but it's the feel for me, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you always feel that tears are manipulative, let's back up before we get there. Can tears be manipulative? That's what I want to start at.
100%.
Can tears be manipulative? So if tears have been manipulative and there has been evidence within my house, within my relationship, to where tears have been manipulative, well, I don't think it's manipulative if I feel that tears in my house are manipulative if evidence shows that they have been manipulative. Now, if I just met you, and for me to just meet you and feel that if you cry the first time, oh, you're just trying to manipulate me. Well, that can be controlled, yes. But I think I love this question because I don't want to not acknowledge the question, but I think there's a question before the question. And the question before the question reveals why a individual may feel that tears can be manipulative. Maybe they've experienced that. And again, I go back to it. If there's evidence in that person's house that tears have manipulated them in the past, then sure, to always feel, agreed. But at the end of the day, let's focus on the evidence. Let's focus on the evidence first and correct the behavior that the evidence has identified.
And I like that, but I don't know. We just gonna let Coach jump on that one, and then we're gonna move right along real quick. But before we do, I want to real quick. Don't forget Sunday brunch, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on TikTok, hosted by Rolling Down the Street. See y'all there. Next, we are gonna move on. I got a scenario real quick. All right, here we go. Lisa, not Lisa in the chat, just letting y'all know, different Lisa. Lisa's partner constantly checks her phone and gets angry when she goes out without telling him. He says it's just because he loves her. Is this concern or control? Is this concern or control?
Janet Jackson.
It's a quick one. He said Janet Jackson. If you know, you know.
It's a lot of concern.
Control.
It's all control.
Yeah.
What say ye, chat? Oh my, let me see where my phone is. There we go. Y'all heard Lisa Dove. You heard what she said, folks. So there you go. She said, there you go. Everybody said control. Ooh, somebody said fear. I like to fear too. All right, let me go to the next one. Mike's girlfriend insists on picking his clothes and deciding who he spends time with. She says it's to help him be his best self. If this support or possessiveness.
Control.
I don't know, Mike. I don't know, Mike. Maybe I'm gonna go back with what Nick D said earlier. Maybe Mike liked this. Maybe Mike wanted, he feels empowered when she picks out his clothes and looks at his friends. But I'm gonna put my finger on possessiveness and say that's what it is. But Mike may like it. I don't know.
I'm gonna say the same thing. I'm gonna say possessive only because my girlfriend insists. So when I see the word insist, to me is coming off as this is how it's going to be. Like I am going to pick out your clothes, and this is who you can spend time with, and I'm gonna help level you up. And let me stop. I don't watch too much TV.
Oh, I'm sorry, but I gotta put this up. I'm sorry.
Here we go.
Yeah, me too. I was laughing too.
Mike might be 5.
Mike better be 5.
Mike is 5.
If not, Mike either about to get put out on the stroll. He about to start walking the streets
with a handbag,
because that's the same behavior as
yeah. So just a little. Let me I'm gonna step over here just for a quick second, right? Let's say
step on.
Let's say Mike came into the relationship and said, "Hey, or whatever, Mike's partner, right? Let's say Lisa found Mike and now she became controlling, right? So now Lisa is attracted to Mike not because of how he dressed or his style, but because he's ambitious, whatever his character, whatever stuff they're attracted to, right? But Mike comes in, he said, "Hey, look, I ain't got the sense of style, because I do know women who are like who want to have a hand in how their man dress when they go out together, stuff like that. Maybe not in this scenario where it's like, oh, I'm gonna tell you who you can hang around to make you a better person. That's complete possession right there. But maybe he just came and said, "Hey, you got it. Help me pick out my wardrobe. Help me pick out my clothes. Help me, because I don't have a fashion sense." Could be. I'm just saying.
Could be. I get it.
She want to change, Mike.
She trying to change Mike.
Yeah.
Why you want to change me? That Ruben stuttered. That was my jam. Y'all remember that?
I can't help Mike, man. Let's keep it moving.
Yeah, let's keep moving. Yeah, Poe Mike.
Sound like Mike.
At the end of the day, folks, many control people don't even realize that they're being controlling. And here are some signs of a controlling relationship: isolation from friends and family, constant jealousy and accusations, excessive monitoring, calls, texts, locations, making decisions for you, like insisting on getting out Mike's clothes and different things like that. So with that being said, gentlemen, what are some steps do you feel people can use to break free and set boundaries? Again, I have a bunch of signs of controlling relationships at the bottom. Actually, let me move that one. I don't want that one. Here we go. This one. We also have some red flags. Communication. Communicate firm boundaries. Build a support system. Seek professional, blah, blah, blah. Hold on. Let me pause. I'm getting ahead of myself. I apologize, folks. So the question is, what are some steps to break free and set boundaries? I wrote down some at the bottom right here, that's at the crawl, which are recognize red flags, communicate firm boundaries, build a support system, seek professional and or spiritual guidance. So, gentlemen, in your words, you can add on to some of these and break them down a little bit more, or you can come up with your own one or two, or at least one step that people can use to break free and set boundaries in their life.
Set boundaries in their life. and maybe understanding what that looks like is the start, really. Because maybe I've never seen healthy boundaries, and I'll just speak if I'm still 20-something-year-old Tawami, I never really seen healthy boundaries, so I don't know what that looks like. And so understanding what that looks like, then setting those, I think it's the start to breaking free.
I think we got to prioritize self. I got to take care of me. So I may need therapy. I may need this. But when I'm setting boundaries, I'm realizing one, it is for me. I got to be consistent with it. I got to communicate it with you so you understand that, hey, this is what I need in the relationship. If I'm sitting up there hemming and hawing and don't know how to articulate it, you gonna say, but you ain't never told me that. But when I understand what I need and I'm telling you what I need, and you don't want to do that, that's a boundary that you are willing to say forget. So it lets me know that, hey, we can't go on in this thing. And you got to set boundaries in various at work. I have boundaries at home with children, with spouse, with friends. I got to have boundaries. All the boundaries ain't the same for everybody. So I think my knowledge of it has to be first and foremost articulated to the people that I want to adhere to my standards.
So before the next person goes, I wanna jump in because I'm trying to go back to my very young self. At 49, I can get on YouTube, I can go places, and I can figure out, and I can go back and I can watch this video and I can find things. But I don't know when I was in my young mind that I was even able to recognize some of the red flags. I look at some of the young relationships I see. I look at relationships I've seen, and I've even some of my I ain't gonna bust him out, but I ain't gonna bust my son out. But I've seen relationships, and I remember when I was young, and people would tell me things, but they didn't go in. I didn't see those red flags. You know what I mean? I didn't know how to communicate firm boundaries. I didn't know that I needed a support system. I didn't know that I could call up Dave Ramsey, or I could call Coach and he can talk to me. There was no TikTok and no Bible study on Sunday with rolling down the street. You know what I mean? There wasn't something from the available man. So I understand, we have steps right here to break free and set boundaries. But what about the person who is oblivious to the fact that they're even being controlled? How does someone who doesn't know that they're being controlled break free and set boundaries?
Okay. I think has to be an understanding of what you're of, breaking free from, and setting boundaries for. So I think the beginning of all of this is going back and understanding relationship. Most people don't understand relationship, therefore they become either a victim in somebody else's arena of control, or they become the control and somebody else becomes their victim. So these people need to go back and understand relationships. Going back to what I said previously, not the fairy tale that you got playing in your head. No one has any requirement to play a leading role in the story that you wrote and produced, and you are the star of the show. So let's go back and understand what relationship is first. Once we have that understanding of relationship, there are clear cut descriptions in relationships. So now that helps us to understand the boundaries that should be established for each person in that relationship. When we articulate those boundaries, then we can enforce those boundaries. And in articulating said boundaries to support said relationship now allows me to break free from the controlling nature that I possess or that you possessed. And now, because we've clearly identified and articulated boundaries to each other, we now feel empowered to share whenever someone crosses over said boundary.
Who's it, Gaddy? You already went? Oh, Well, excuse me then, folks. We're here. Let's move right on to the next one. All right, so we're gonna this is gonna be one of the last questions of the night. So with that being said, what's a personal lesson you've learned about possessiveness?
Personal lesson that I've learned about possessiveness is that it speaks to the fear of me losing something that I don't have the right to control.
That it can cause the other person to really lose sight of who they are as a person, and when you don't feel like you no longer have control of yourself, I think that's how we get to some of the stuff we see on TV, we see in the news, right? And I know that's an extreme, but the idea of losing sight of yourself and not feeling like you've lost all control of yourself will lead people to doing desperate things because they're lost. They don't really know where to move from there. And so I think we got to be careful with some of the unhealthy behaviors we do with each other, because when we commit into a serious relationship, we've committed ourselves to the other person. And so once we mishandle that, is a mental weight that it weighs on the other person. So that's what I've learned. And so it just creates a long line of unhealthy mental behavior issues, or what have you, however you want to label them. But that's a hard lesson that I learned.
It is a unisex cancer that's rooted in immaturity and insecurities. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter where you came from. It doesn't matter what you look like. At the end of the day, when it infiltrates your relationship, it is going to eat away at it from the inside out.
When hold on, I heard something over there. What's a personal lesson I've learned about possessiveness is that I am not in control of anybody. I don't own anybody. I learned, a long time ago, and this is not just in relationships with women or my wife or ex-wife, but also with my kids, with other people that I may come in contact with. Like me and Gaddy are cool, but I don't own Gaddy. He is not my possessor. I shouldn't be getting jealous if Roland and Gaddy spend more time than me and Gaddy does. I don't own him. He is not my possession. So I think just at the end of the day, just learning that when it comes to possessiveness, I'm not in control, and I'm not in control of anybody. So because I'm not in control of anybody, I can't possess anybody. So, and because I can't possess anybody, I can't control anybody. So they kind of go together in my eyes and how I'm looking at it. So I do got another question up here that I want to get to real quick. And this is a good one for anybody out there who is already found themselves in the situation and now they are looking to try to set boundaries. They get to a point in a relationship and they awake or they get some new information and they like, hey, I didn't know that this right here could potentially help my relationship, and now I need to set boundaries. So how can someone set healthy boundaries without making their partner feel rejected or unloved? This should be interesting, especially with that word feel in there.
I
So
think
again,
sometimes
how can someone set healthy boundaries without making their partner feel rejected or unloved?
since we talk to one another a certain way, sometimes we do that with our partners. So I think as men, sometimes we can just reassure them that, hey, this is for the benefit of us. When we do blase splee, whatever it is, when we do this together, it irritates me. And so that I won't be irritated by what's going on, I'd rather do this one by myself. Sometimes I need my alone time. Sometimes you need your alone time. It's for the benefit of the relationship. And you got to reassure them that what I'm telling you is for us to be better. I think that will reassure, that'll help reassure. Start.
So your stance is pretty much reassurance to your partner that whatever my stance is on this, it's better for us.
Definitely. Yes.
So does that work both ways?
It has to.
Her stance is on something and she says it's this and it's better for us, do we accept that as well?
Now you throwing that out there like it's a blanket statement. It depends on what it is, because she's,
I know.
Right. So,
gonna
but
get
if
too
it's
messy,
something
we ain't got that much longer, but
that she sees as beneficial for her and her sanity that I'm not involved in, or that I need to take a step back, definitely.
come on, boundaries.
I mean, so I have a problem with this question slightly, right? It's because what can I do about how you feel, right? And so we can have all the conversations in the world. Hopefully, we have healthy conversations leading to us having, because I get it. You know, everybody say, "Oh, you should have set those boundaries in the beginning," but for God's sakes, we grow, right? People grow. You started dating that person at 25. You didn't know what your boundaries were, and they changed when you turned 30. And now you realize you got some new boundaries to add, some old ones that didn't make sense you got rid of, right? You redressing your lawn and you putting in a new fence, right? That's cool. So, but how you feel about the boundaries I set, I can't control them. I can have a conversation with you and explain to you why this boundary went up. Hopefully, if you're married, you know, you and your spouse is having these conversations as you're putting these boundaries up, because the moment you tell the man or the woman that you've been married to for 10 plus years that they no longer have access to you this way that they've had for 10 years, how do they not go through a period of feeling rejected or like at some point you have to, we who are putting up the boundaries have to also understand the nature of the relationship that we're in and how it's going to be affected by these boundaries as well. Because, not saying don't put them up, but what I'm saying is sometimes you have to understand that that person may feel that way because you've given them this access for so long. How are they supposed to receive it? You know, that's this. I know that didn't really answer the question, but that's just kind of where I'm resting with this one.
Yeah, I've seen the meme with Monique when she, I think it was in the movie Precious, where she makes that face of this too much. This too much. This too much. My initial thought is that I can't. If I am going to set healthy boundaries don't necessarily mean that you're going to feel good about them. Part of my boundaries is that I don't own how you feel. Part of me understanding feelings is that it's your responsibility to work those things out between yourself and the reality that you exist in. I didn't set boundaries to hurt your feelings. And the key word here, I like the fact that Gaddy went to feel, but the key word here is making. If me setting boundaries make you feel, well, number one, I didn't make you feel anything. Boundaries didn't make you feel anything. What you're doing is you're setting the conditions to blame it on boundary, or, probably a boundary that's unwanted. So I think the notion here is understanding what healthy boundaries are. We set healthy boundaries. Do you know what healthy boundaries are? At the end of the day, this should be part of a conversation we should have had long ago in the beginning. So me setting healthy boundaries would not make you feel rejected or unloved. If me setting boundaries make you feel rejected or unloved, you probably don't know what acceptance and love is. So that's the part I would say. Like, don't focus on making them feel, right? Because you can't make a person feel anything unless you're doing something intentionally against them. Just focus on setting healthy boundaries.
Yeah. And I think to the making their partner feel, even to that portion, like you say, I'm not responsible for how you feel, and I can't make anything that happens in your life. That's a you thing. But I think that there is, and this goes back to the relationship piece as far as the effective communication. It's a difference in yelling and screaming and getting your point across versus using language and a tone of voice that can be received in a certain type of way at the same time. So I think it's what coaches say, what everybody's saying, and then just adding that own little piece in there that you can be direct and get your point across and all of those things. And again, I'm not responsible for how you feel, but I think at the same time is, based off of y'all relationship, y'all need to stay within the confines of how y'all communicate most effectively, especially when you're trying to set boundaries, because sometimes, and you want to be clear and precise about the boundaries as well. So just throw it in there. But I'm looking at the time and we almost about to roll out. But before I do, since you stayed here to the end, I got something for you guys. And here's what we got. So viewers, tonight, after the show, or even if you want to do it tomorrow, take 5 minutes to reflect, preferably tonight. Have you ever allowed or engaged in a controlling behavior, and what steps can you do to change it? As mentioned earlier, sometimes we can engage in controlling behavior where we're controlling or we're being controlled and we may not know. So this is just a little exercise that you can practice, just to kind of reflect and to see if you are in either one of these positions. And next, folks, we are about to roll out. We are getting ready to do our final thoughts, and then I will wrap it up, and then we will get out any last minute admin notes. So we are going to start with Son of Timothy, and then Poor Man Dr. Field, then Coach, and then I'll wrap the show up. And you ready, Gaddy? All right, hold on. Let me find my stuff.
My biggest takeaway after having this conversation is simple, right? We can't control nobody. We don't own nobody. But that means we need to learn to make better decisions when it comes to our dating life, right? Because the problem sometimes is you want to get a certain reaction out of a person. Well, how about we choose people that better fit us, right? Or how about we work on ourselves as well and figure out, why do I feel the need to have to control or possess or force someone to behave, act, or move a certain way, right? There's many layers to it to me. Like, there's nothing cookie cut, but we have to do the work with self first, understand ourselves, understand our behaviors and why we have the likes and dislikes we have, because I think that'll make us understand our mates and why we pick certain people. Because many of us have been through relationships and it seemed like we kept dating the same person over and over again. Well, why? Why am I choosing that? What is there that's causing me to go down this line or go down this road? And then from then we just have to do the necessary work after we've gained that information, and let's move forward. Let's be better. Like Unc said, take that 5 minutes and reflect. You might, see if you've been or you are somebody in that situation, or maybe you are the possessor. And if so, you can't control them. You can't control what they do. You can't control how they move. But you have to help heal you first. Then you can start worrying about somebody else. That's all I got tonight.
I think first and foremost, we need to learn how to stop trying to use people as a way of filling a void within ourselves. If you have a void, we need to be able to recognize it. If I have a void, I need to be able to recognize it to see how I can seek therapy to where when you aren't doing what I want you to do, I don't act out of pocket. I say, man, why is it that I want him or her to do exactly what I want to do, how I want it, when I want it? And you see a prime example. We talked about movies earlier, and it was comical in the movie Norbit, where the man was the docile one and his wife Rasputia was the one that was controlling, and she exhibited controlling behavior with her brothers, with her family, with anyone that was around her in her circle or in the vicinity of her. And we found it comical, but we can see some Rasputias in our lives. Some of us can see it in the mirror where you may not be that size, but your demeanor and your behavior depicts a controlling person that wants a person to do as you say, when you say it, how you say it, and it's either your way or the highway. And that's how some of us move. But we need to recognize that so that we can get some help and we can talk to some people to where we can now articulate, man, I have an issue that I need to fix so that it can make me better in my relationships with every and anybody.
So the moral of the story is don't get in a relationship with somebody named Rasputin. No, I'm joking. Listen, like I said before, and I really mean it when I said it. When we look at the idea or the notion of controlling and possessiveness and things of that nature, I think part of the dilemma is that we don't necessarily understand that, again, it is a unisex cancer that's rooted in immaturity and insecurity. And at its very fiber, once it gets into the relationship, it's going to eat it from the inside out until there is no relationship left. So I believe it is every person's responsibility to understand what relationship is. Like, go back, do some work on self, understand what a relationship is, and then understand what your responsibilities are in that relationship. And then, in the midst of that, how would you respond to this? How would you respond to that? So forth and so on. I believe wholeheartedly at the end of the day, if someone is sharing something with you and you can't wholeheartedly hear what they're saying, and your automatic response is defensiveness in nature or reminding them something previously or whatever, I think you need to go back and look at yourself. You need to take time out from relationship and spend time with yourself so that you can become better when it comes down to those responses. Because at the end of the day, those conversations can carry a lot of value in relationships, and not just that, but the development and the progressive nature of it. So we run from difficult conversations because at the end of the day, what I say go, or, I feel like this and therefore that. So anything that can present any metric of control, which you have a responsibility of doing, is like taking that thing and either find a better way to utilize it because you don't understand it, right? The things that you don't know, you don't understand, you abuse, or remove it completely from it. I have no right trying to control another adult and make them do exactly what I want them to do, when I want them to do, and how I want them to do it. However, I do have this thing called a boundary that actually sets a controlling atmosphere for me. So now, what you cannot do is you cannot impose what you want on me, hoping that I accept it, then get mad at me because I don't accept it. Like we did that in grade school in the sand lot, right? You got mad at little Timmy or little Tamika because she took your toy and didn't want to give it back, or they touched it because you didn't want them to play with it, or this is your area that you supposed to hold on to, and now they just want to come and hang out in your area. That's what it looks like as adults when we call ourselves being in relationships. We look like children because we have not learned how to effectively play together. And that's my final thought.
My final thought is going to be short and sweet today. True love empowers, not controls. A healthy relationship is built on trust, respect, and freedom, not fear and possession. If you have to control them, it's not love, it's insecurity. That is my final thought for this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been a great show. I think so. We really enjoyed all of the engagement in the chat. all of the conversations and everything like that. We really hope you got something out of this. Gentlemen, is there anything you would like to say before we close up shop?
Tomorrow morning, 10:30, reframing the image of relationships.
Here we go. And then Sunday.
Yeah, Sunday, 11:30. All this is Eastern Standard Time, by the way. Sunday at 11:30 Eastern Standard Time on TikTok. This young man will be hosting. So be there Tuesday at 7 p.m. Coach's Corner. Again, Eastern Standard Time, me and Uncle Junior. And again, next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, The Hearts of Men.
All right, folks, that's it. We will see y'all tomorrow. Have a good night. Peace.